Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. And I want to say hi to everybody who's on the line, everybody from the Black Financial Channel. If you want to know, if you're watching this video later, they are watching live from theblackfinancialchannel.com. That's where you get daily financial analysis, kind of like a black version of CNBC. So make sure you hit the thumbs up button, share button, and subscribe button. Also, hello to everybody on Instagram. Our Instagram page is The Real Boyce Watkins. And just so you guys know, on Instagram, I have posted out a question for you guys. I showed a picture of Antonio Brown from Sports Illustrated, and the image looks a little dark to me. It looks like they kind of did an O.J. Simpson effect on that image, and I'd be curious to get you guys' take on what you think about that. And I'm going to discuss this later on at drboycetv.com. I see Felicia in here. Felicia's my grandmother's name, so I already love you. From Ohio, I see Bryce and Tamara and Brittany and Teddy. How you doing? Everybody shout out your city, hit the thumbs up button, and let's get it started. Let's start the intelligent conversation now. Today, I have the honor and the privilege of speaking with somebody that I consider to be a respected older sister, a respected colleague, a mentor, a buddy, just a brilliant intellectual. And in fact, we're 2 for 2 with MIT PhDs, because just yesterday on Dr. Boyce TV, we had Dr. Randall Pinkett, who got a PhD in computer science from MIT. Well, today we have Dr. Julianne Malveaux, who has a PhD in economics from MIT. And in case y'all don't know, this is a real PhD. This ain't one of those fake PhDs you see out here. This is, you know what I'm talking about, Dr. Malveaux.
I earned this sucker. Nobody gave it to me. It's not honorific. It's real.
And you got the battle scars to prove it. And so we should actually cheer. Everybody, I want you to give a digital round of applause for Dr. Malveaux. Clap it up for the sister.
Hey.
Because a PhD in economics is very difficult to obtain. A PhD from MIT is very difficult to obtain, and a PhD in economics from MIT is very difficult to obtain. And so I want you guys to just understand, like, that you're in the presence of intellectual royalty. And I hope that when we see Black folks doing great things that don't necessarily involve dribbling basketballs, throwing footballs, or busting a rhyme. Right? No disrespect to the entertainers. We know that that's its own type of brilliance, but we got to cheer for our intellectuals. We must do this because the intellectuals are the ones who can guide us out of these storms that we're dealing with in America. So, Dr. Malveaux, first of all, I'd like to ask, how are you doing today?
I'm great. You know, it's a wonderful day. It's beautiful here in Washington, D.C. You know, one of your team members got on my nerves a little earlier, but, you know, that's life. But other than that, it's all good. You know, coming off of a very busy Congressional Black Caucus week where I pretty much bookended it. I was on the opening town hall on Thursday with Dr. Cole and Dr. Janetta Cole, Boyce, Mark Morial, Derek Johnson from the NAA, wonderful sister Jennifer McClellan from Virginia, and the new head of the AMA, Dr. Patrice Harris. So we had a very resounding opening. And I was blessed to be asked to, they didn't have a keynote speaker this year. They had a Spark session. I never heard of that before. Y'all young people have to educate me on that. But it was like a 10-minute interview. And one of the anchors interviewed me. So I opened and closed. So that was like really cool to have that opportunity. And I talked, of course, about the economics of enslavement and about reparations, you know, the stuff that I'm passionate about.
Well, you know, I'm glad these conversations are being had. By the way, I meant to ask you, did you see the trailer for the movie Harriet by chance?
I did not. I have not seen that. I've heard about it. I haven't seen it. I can't wait.
Yeah. It's really nice. I mean, it's really, you know, powerful and makes you want to see it. You know, when I saw the trailer, I said, okay, I think this is going to be a movie that everybody's going to go see. And I mean, who can argue with you know, a Harriet Tubman film that's done right and seems to show tremendous respect for all that she accomplished. I'll tell you, I feel like they were going for the female Django kind of feel. You know, like you know, don't take no shit. I'll shoot a white man.
Well, she was something else, though. She was totally something else. There's a historic landmark up in Maryland where she's from. It's about 2 hours from, an hour and a half from here. And a good buddy of mine and I have been there a couple of times just to check it out. And, you know, we keep threatening to do the walk. I mean, there's a walk where she went from Maryland up to Pennsylvania to lead people to freedom. And so we keep threatening to do it, but we lazy. We probably not gonna do that, 120-mile walk if the whole truth is to be told. But she was just something else in terms of her tenacity, her unwillingness to accept enslavement. She even cut her boo loose with the brother. She hooked him up and had clothes for him and everything for him to escape. He wouldn't do it. She's like, okay, next, So she was very focused. And the numbers are murky about how many people she led to freedom, but it's clear she led a lot of her family members, a lot of other people, probably hundreds of people out of enslavement and into freedom. Even though she could have been re-enslaved going back to Maryland, it didn't matter to her. She kept going back to get people out.
Well, isn't that what this is all about? The struggle. Isn't that what the struggle is supposed to be about? Not just freeing yourself, but really going back and freeing as many others as you can. In fact, actually, on our platform, one of the things that we decided amongst us was that there should be a new measure, a new standard for what we consider to be successful Black people. A successful Black person should not just be a person that is on TV and making lots of money, or, whoa, look, so-and-so's a billionaire now. I think success should be measured by, what are you doing for the masses? Not what did you do for a couple of people? Because there's always going to be tokenism. But what did you do? Can you point to a place where you've employed 200 or 300 people? If you're a billionaire, you should be able to create 500 jobs, 1,000 jobs easily, right? Or did you build a school? Are you educating hundreds or thousands of children? What are you doing that's connecting to the masses? What are you doing to go back and really liberate the masses, other than a couple of symbolic things like I gave away 3 turkeys at Christmas time, because that's what happens. You get the little polite charity, the bullshit charity, but you're not getting sort of the real heavy lifting that's necessary to really.
That's such a good point. I mean, I wrote a column last week. Now, I wrote a column last week called "Please Bring School Supplies." It was really speaking to the number of events that I went to at the end of August, early September, where people were asking, bring school supplies. And I'm saying, why do we need to bring school supplies? Why aren't our schools properly funded? Why are we doing this kind of, it's a good gesture and all that. And people go and you buy $20 worth of crap and bring it, notebooks and pens and all that. But we shouldn't be funding our schools that way. And we have enough wealth in our community to be doing a lot better.
I agree with you. I'll tell you what, I believe, what we believe in the Black Business School is what we call the Black Core of 3. We believe Black people should be doing all we can to educate our own children, create our own jobs, and support Black businesses. And the reason that we believe this is because we believe that a lot of the public education, unfortunately, it leaves so many loopholes in terms of what Black children need to know. Like for example, it's criminal that they don't all know everything there is to know about Marcus Garvey. Right? They shouldn't.
Don't get me started, boys. Don't get me started. I've been talking about lynching because I'm working on this book on Black money. It's not done yet. It's in the embryonic stages, but I'm working on this book. But here's the deal. As I've talked to people about lynching, I've had young Black people as well, young white people, but young Black people, that didn't happen. Really? You're exaggerating. No, almost 5,000 people were lynched. And the lynchings were not about sex, as many people will tell you, Black man touched a white woman. Most of them were about economics. They were about economic envy, about Black people having the nerve to start their own businesses, to negotiate their own prices, to own an automobile. And all these were things that got you lynched. To have land. A brother in Florida, the Grove area of Florida, had 40 acres. Well, they lynched him for that. Because but actually they didn't lynch him. They lynched his 2 sons. And they incarcerated him because he had too much land. He had orange groves, which meant he had power to negotiate prices. Or the 200 people that were lynched in Arkansas because they tried to start a farmers cooperative. So we don't know our history. And because we don't know our history, we sort of are mired down in the swamp of ignorance, which does not allow us to own ourselves, to really talk about the temerity, the nerve. It takes nerve. We were talking about Harry. It takes nerve to say, white folks, we ain't having this. And there were people who did that, and many were lynched for it.
Wow. Did y'all catch that? Give me a yes or no if you're internalizing this. If you guys, in the chat, I want you to make sure, I mean, we can't gloss over these stories. Each of these stories, what's so painful about hearing these stories, Dr. Malveaux, is that each story is very deep, very painful, personal. I mean, if any of these stories happened to any of us in our own families, we would be traumatized for life. It would be intergenerational trauma, right? But because there are so many stories, we get into this thing where, remember, Joseph Stalin said that one death is a tragedy and a million deaths is a statistic, right? It's sort of like you're overwhelmed by so much trauma and pain that you just sort of gloss over it. Like, oh yeah, 5 more people died over here, and then 3 more families were murdered over there, right? And you just sort of, but I want you guys to really, I think you almost have to meditate on it and sort of imagine, like just that first story you said, a successful man had orange groves, and first they lynched his sons. So first you've lost both of your children, and then they incarcerate you for life. I mean, I think that for those of us who really want to understand this, I think we almost, similar to what the Jewish community does, we have to stop for a minute and really swim in that pain for a moment so we can really connect to it, because we don't connect to it. I think that we just talk about it like, oh yeah, it happened, it was bad, and now it's over. Right? It's a couple.
Well, see, that's what white people would like us to forget about it. But it's a community trauma. It's not an individual trauma, because basically what we learned from lynching, Ida B. Wells said, lynching is an act of white supremacy. What we learned from lynching is how not to be the tall nail, how not to get out there, not to put yourself out there. And I could tell you personal stories of the trauma that the specter of lynching has caused to elders in my family. As an example, I took my mom in 1986 to Biloxi, Mississippi. She grew up there. She went to some school, our Mother of Sorrows. It was a school that the nuns had for Negroes and Indians. And so the school was closing. It had been open for over 100 years. It was closing. She wanted to go to the closing. We rented a car in New Orleans. We flew into New Orleans, rented a car, and we get in the car. Mommy says to me, now, Julianne, if we get stopped by a white person, I want you to be polite. That's how she starts out. Well, because she knows me. And sure enough, we crossed from Louisiana to Mississippi, sure enough. And I'm very careful to be at the speed limit or below. I'm like, I don't want to get stopped. I want no drama. I get stopped. Give the man the rental car papers, give him my license. He's getting real familiar and smart ass with me, excuse my language. Mom starts crying. I'm like, Mommy, why are you crying? Just give the man whatever he wants. I said, dude, look, give me a ticket or arrest me. Do whatever the F you gonna do, because I'm not fooling with you today. My mom now is sobbing. She's totally frightened. She thinks something's gonna happen. And so he goes around and he's all respectful of her. Man, why are you crying? Just don't bother my daughter. She has a smart mouth. Just don't bother her. I'm like, Mommy, I have not been smart mouth. I asked the man if I broke a law. He claims I was speeding. You see the speedometer because you've been looking at it. I've been going 55, 55, 54, 53. She literally sobbed. He made me get out of the car. She's crying even more. Get out of the car. And he tells me I should pay attention to my mother. She's obviously a good gal. I said, my mother's not a gal. I said, she's a grown woman. And he said, you need to watch you in. I said, well, if you're going to take me in, take me in. I'm like, take me in. My mom is sobbing up a river. So he said, only because of your mother, I'm not taking you in, but you better watch yourself, gal. I said, that would be called Dr. Malveaux. Mommy she is like beside herself. And she fussed at me for 60 miles. Right? You didn't have to go there. You didn't have to say that, blah, 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 blah. White people don't. Well, we had some lynchings in our family. We've had some issues. And she just can't take it. She can't stand it, And that's what lynching did, is it made a whole generation of people frightened, scared. And so they would defer. She would be the one who would get off the sidewalk if a white person was coming, because she wouldn't have to pay the consequences, Wow. And this is not like her, my mother. It's generations of people. There's a book by Angela Sims called Lynching, where people literally were in the same county of lynching, but they have been so brainwashed and they don't talk about it. They'll say stuff like, I don't remember that happening. She would bring it up, say, look, this happened when you were 10 years old. And they said, I don't remember. I don't know anything about it, because they don't want to know anything about it because it's scary. And so that fear to me, boys, is partially a cause of economic suppression. So people were not prepared to do it. The entrepreneurial spirit was dampened by lynching. I mean, Tommy Moss, we talked about this before. Tommy Moss, who started a store, the People's Grocery in Memphis, Tennessee, across the street from a white man's store. Because the white man's store was dirty, had alcohol, he had 10 citations for alcohol, had gambling, had prostitution. So Black people didn't want to go there, but it was the only store. So he said, let's start our own.
Wow.
White man wasn't having that. Two little boys got into a fight over marbles. You hear me? Over marbles. The white boy runs to the white man's store and says, the Black boy took my marbles. 3 white men with shotguns go to shoot up the Black man's store over some marbles. The brothers weren't having it. They had guns too. They were like, y'all get up out of here. The next thing you know, Tommy Moss and his 2 friends were arrested. 2 days later, they were lynched. That was the first lynching that Ida B. Wells looked into. This had nothing to do with sex. This was economic envy, economic envy, economic envy. Whenever we stood up for ourselves from an economic perspective, we were stomped down by lynching because Jim Crow laws and other laws allowed that to happen because laws were never enforced. You get, this is what I get excited about this, so forgive me. And that excited.
Nothing to forgive. Nothing to forgive. You know, that's everybody, please in the chat, please tell Dr. Malveaux that this is what we want to hear. Like, let her, encourage it, because I think, because the thing is, the reason that we like hearing from yourself and those who are in the know on things like this is because this is stuff that is not taught in school. I don't know. Did anybody else learn this in school? Let us know, yes or no, if you learned this in school or not.
They didn't teach it in school.
Right.
If people taught the true American history, there'll be a whole lot of mad Black folks and white folks. A lot of people just don't believe it. They're like, this could not have happened. Yes, it happened. Yes, it happened in this country. Well, we're running around the world talking about democracy. We're lynching Black men in uniform.
Wow. Well, by the way, everybody, in case you just came in, I'm speaking with Dr. Julianne Malveaux. She has a PhD in economics from MIT. She's also a noted commentator, thinker, political scientist, and just many, many things that she does incredibly well. Her books, if you want to know the titles of her books, the first book I actually read was Sex, Lies, and Stereotypes. Is that right? Did I get it right?
That's right. Perspectives of a Bad Economist.
Yeah, Perspectives of a Bad Economist. That's funny. I read that book a long time ago in grad school, and Dr. Malveaux was actually the first public scholar I ever saw. So you talk about influence, she was the first person that showed me that you can be a scholar and not just sit up in some white man's ivory tower away from your people. I saw Dr. Malveaux engaging the people. And so, we owe, or at least I know I do. And those of you who respect what I do, you can't respect what I do without respecting what she does. She opened that gate for me. Also, her other books are called Surviving and Thriving, 365 Facts on Black Economic History. Also, she wrote Are We Better Off? Race, Obama, and Public Policy. And by the way, everybody, if you just came in, please hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, subscribe button. If you're on YouTube, take 1 second also when you hit the subscribe button, because you're on the Black Financial Channel, theblackfinancialchannel.com, hit that notification bell so you'll be notified whenever we go live. It's very important. Hit the notification bell. Also, a reminder to everybody, the All Black National Convention is in 10 days. So if you are super Black every day of the week and twice on Sundays, go to allblacknationalconvention.com. We got a lot of people coming through. Dr. Malveaux, I want you to come to the next one. I'm going to invite you. I'm going to try to get on your schedule because I'd love for you to come to the next one. But everybody else who wants to come this year, or go to allblacknationalconvention.com. If you want to watch the recording of the events, we can't promise a live stream. We're still trying to see if we can set that up, but we can get the video for this one as well as all the other conventions and all the other things that we've done, the movies, the film, the event I did with Farrakhan, things like that. You can go to allblackeducation.com. It's allblackeducation.com, and you can sign up and you can view the footage of the event right after it's done. We have that footage loaded and try to do a live stream. So it's allblackeducation.com. The first month is free. So go give that a try if you'd like to be there, if you can't make it there. All right. So Dr. Malveaux, let me ask you this question. Okay. So speaking of Obama, and you wrote this book, Are We Better Off? And you got into a lot of trouble because, you kind of challenged some of our thinking on the Obama presidency. And I want to ask you more about that, definitely in a broader context for sure. But I'd like to start with one thing that's very recent. President Trump made a statement on Twitter in which he was trying to make the argument that the Obamas should be investigated for this massive deal they made with Netflix. That the Obamas, they left office and suddenly, they're showered with money. And and I think it seems to me that the argument is, okay, you were doing all these people favors when you were in office, and now these favors are being returned with financial compensation and opportunity. He's asking for an investigation. Do you think that has merit? And what are just your general thoughts about that, about somebody leaving office and then suddenly making just tons of money, white, black, or otherwise?
Well, first of all, 45 is the last person to be talking about investigating somebody for deals. We can investigate that Trump hotel down the street where he has foreign dignitaries staying. We could investigate the fact he wants to have a G7 summit at the Trump Mar-a-Lago. We can investigate Ivanka getting those trademarks from China for her various and sundry merchandise. So he's the last one. Secondly,
I didn't know, by the way, I didn't know China really. So China gives you just trademarks. I thought they just stole everybody's intellectual property.
They steal property, but they also will give you trademarks to do stuff in their country. So okay. She has an exclusive on a couple of things. I don't even know what the things are, so don't give me the line. But she was lobbying them while her father was having them at Mar-a-Lago. She's lobbying them, and then next thing you know, she gets these trademarks. So these people, they have turned the White House into a grifter's paradise. And they really don't have any business saying anything to anybody. But secondly, the presidency, having been a president at a relatively young age, the Obamas are in their 50s. What are they going to do next? They're going to create opportunities for themselves. I don't think it's a deal of you did favors then and now you're cleaning up with them now. They're hot. People still love them. So they got to deal with Netflix. They got to deal with a book. They got a joint book deal that's worth $60 million. Well, I believe Michelle has probably made that $60 million or part of it back to the publisher. I don't have a problem with it. The Clintons made money. Everybody, I think Harry Truman was probably the last one, and maybe Eisenhower, who said they weren't going to profit from the presidency. But unless we give these people sizable pensions, they get a pension, it's not sizable. Unless we give them, they're young, they're vital, they're making money. I ain't mad at them. In fact, right on. Give me 1%, y'all. But right on. I don't have a problem with that. I think that 45 is obsessed with the Obamas. He is utterly obsessed, and Melania equally obsessed. She basically samples Michelle whenever she can. Not that she has an original thought in her own mind, but no, he's wrong. But he's wrong. My mom often says even a broken clock is right twice a day. That's about how often he's right, twice a day. And this ain't the twice. When you talk about investigating the Obamas, I think it's silly.
Well, what's interesting is, it almost seems strange. I think that when you're talking about, first of all, I don't think any of us can be mad at somebody for making money if it's ethical and legal, and I think that's fine. I wonder if someone other than Trump had made that statement. You're right. It sounds like the pot calling the kettle black. If that was a bad thing, or maybe white, we need to change that term anyway.
Yes, please, let's.
Right. But it's interesting, right? If somebody other than Trump, who has, as you mentioned, profited in so many ways. Even his tweets, the fact that he knows he can move the stock market with his tweets, it's easy to imagine him using that for the advantage of himself or his friends. In fact, Trump is under investigation for alerting his friend. I want to say, was it T. Boone Pickens? Warning him that he was about to make an announcement on the tariffs. And right before that, this other billionaire sells all of his stock in his China holdings and protects himself from a massive $30 million loss. And, they're thinking that Trump actually, gave him the heads up. And also there's allegations from people inside the Trump administration that Trump deliberately exaggerates his tweets about China to move the market, right? And that's something that that I see, and I can't imagine a guy with an ego of his size not sort of feeling good about this idea that he can actually move the stock market. But I think there's also this question of, where is there a line that's drawn at all anywhere in terms of, how much, how you make your money after you leave office, right? Like if I want to do a big money grab, then what I do is I go into office, I do a bunch of favors for a bunch of people and say, I refuse to accept any compensation whatsoever for what I'm doing for you right now. But then when I get done, I call them up and I say, hey, remember, I'm the guy that got you that $1 billion deal. What you gonna do for me? Right? Not in so many words, right? And if you look at the size of the deals, I mean, the Michelle Obama book deal, I would imagine she's going to make over 100 million or close to it before she's done. The Obama Netflix deal that both of them got, that's probably, that's got to be close to 100 million. From what I've been hearing about, all these other Netflix deals are pretty massive. And so I wonder, is there any line in terms of, just how well you do after you leave office? I mean, we know that they're all going to make money. They all do. The Bushes, the Clintons, everybody makes money. But is there a line? And if so, should there be one? Or if not,
there probably should be a line around influence peddling. But I don't think that the Obamas or the Clintons or the Bushes, frankly, need to peddle influence. If you're a commercial capitalistic enterprise and your job is to maximize profits, having an Obama imprimatur on a film, a book, or something is going to increase your profits because they're very popular. So they're monetizing their popularity. I wouldn't say that they're monetizing their presidency, so they're monetizing their popularity. Just as I said, George W. Bush had a book about his paintings or whatever. I mean, who in the Sam hell thinks that George W. Bush is a talented painter? No, he's a former president, and that makes it exciting. It would be good if we were able to figure out some lines, but I didn't care for the Bushes, as you know, but I do respect their integrity. As I don't respect 45 doesn't have any integrity. I think the Obamas did. I don't think there were influence peddling with the issue of what can we get at the end. I think that they knew they will get some at the end because they're popular enough. Their books are going to sell. They've got this film deal. The films are going to be watched. Their name means something. And hey, props to them for monetizing.
Father is one. Well, I think I agree with you. I mean, they have, a powerful brand, right? Like there's no question about it. And fame sells, right? Kim Kardashian, the Kardashian family, I think they're raking in 100 million a year. Just for
they ain't done nothing. They reckon 100 million for being hoes and whatever. So I guess hoeing pays in some circles. But forgive me, y'all. But I mean, I can't understand that phenomenon at all. And but all these things, when you say monetizing fame, it's about us. It's about what we go for. What we, who believes the hype? You have sex on the air or taped. Show your cooch on the air and then people want to buy your stuff. Ooh, that's nasty to me, but I'm old.
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, I think, I think you're right. I mean, it's when you compare it to something, when you make it relative, when you say, okay, Obamas are making their money, but look at Trump, or Obamas are making their money, but look at Kim Kardashian, then, it puts it all into perspective, right? We know the world we live in. And I guess I just kind of wondered if there was any kind of line. And I think, it's this interference of money, the political, or excuse me, the economic motivations behind, so much of our political activity, I think that's going to ruin this country. I mean, I think.
Well, if you could draw a straight line to say, let's say, did with T. Boone Pickens and 45, if you could draw a straight line and say, Obama cut this deal, loosened regulation on Netflix in 2014, and therefore he then got this deal with Netflix. If you could draw a straight line, that would be objectionable, but I don't think you can draw that straight line. I think it might be a dotted line. It might not even be a dotted line. It might be zigzag. But we know that they did a great job at some level. Now, I disagree with some of what they did, but they did a great job objectively, and now they're selling it. Okay. I ain't mad at nobody.
Well, I think it's fine too. I mean, I guess I was curious about it just in terms of, whether there's something we're missing on this, but I'd be curious to also ask you about this. I live in Chicago, and you know, and I hear what people, you know, say about Obama and his presidency, good and bad. And I know you wrote a book, "Are We Better Off? Race, Obama, and Public Policy." And I would imagine that you're not a critic of Obama. I don't think you are. I've never seen you as an extreme critic. Like, I'm going to go after him, but you have been objective in your analysis, which seemed to cause you a lot of problems. What would you say that people can say, you know, there was good or bad for Black people in particular about the Obama presidency? Because a lot of the perception amongst a lot of Black people here is that, you know, the neighborhood is still the same. You know, you still have 45% Black unemployment rate in Southside Chicago where Obama lived. You know, and I would just say if he just tweeted about it a few times, that right there might drive people to action if he even acknowledged it. It almost seems that Trump has this, you know, part of his Trump card, if you will, you know, pun intended, is that he can tweet about the things that Obama never touched, and basically say, look, at least I'm talking about it. At least I'm talking about Black people. Your own Black president didn't seem to really even want to talk about your issues at all, right? I don't know.
And that was a tragedy of Obama. I mean, the good news about Obama is that he was, well, no, let's pull it back. Barack Obama never claimed to be a progressive, to be left of center. He was always pretty much a Democratic centrist. His views were not very different from Hillary. She probably was to the left of him. She probably would have done more for Black people than he did. He was always caught up in, I'm not a Black president, I'm the nation's president. I remember I interviewed him in 2004. I was working with Willie Gary's television station at the time. At the convention, I was lucky enough to snag him. We know people in common, Charles Ogletree, others. So we're having a very, very lovely conversation until I ask him about reparations. At which point, my man jumps up off the chair and says, turn that camera off. He has a total.
Oh, wait, don't skim over that story. Are y'all as shocked as I am? So tell us more. So you talked to President Obama.
So I was able to get, he was senator then.
Senator Obama, okay.
Well, so I was able to get, in fact, he was a state senator then. He hadn't even run for Senate. Remember, he was a keynote speaker at the 2004 Democratic Convention, one of the speakers. So I was working for Willie Gary, and I was charged with, you know, gathering stories and, you know, wearing my journalist hat. I begged, borrowed, and everything else to get him. Everybody, you know, he was a hot ticket. Ogletree helped. A bunch of people called. Rock, you got to talk to Malveaux. So there we had it. We're in my suite. You'll never forget it. The Cora Berry was sitting in the other side of the room. She's like, I'm not getting in your interview, but she did jump in for a couple of pictures. But anyway, we're having a great conversation, really great conversation. His little handler had said, I only had 15 minutes, but we did, you know how Black people are. We do the getting to know you, who we know in common. It turned out we were there for like 30, 40 minutes until I asked about reparations. When I asked about reparations, he totally like went off. Like he jumped off the chair. He said, turn off the microphone. We're not recording this. And, you know, he did not even want to be in the same sentence, in the same room with reparations. So he's like, nope, to the nope, to the nope. Next thing you know, the little handler is gathering up their stuff. And I'm like, okay, dude, can we at least close the interview out? I could say bye so we can edit this part out and we can say bye and it's civil. So we did. And, you should never have asked me about that. But see, since he was a student of Ogletree's and Tree was in all of the reparation struggle, I figured he would be down with it. At least have a conversation. He could have said, I don't agree with it, but he didn't want.
Uh-oh, it looks like Dr. Malveaux froze for a second. She should come right back. Dr. Malveaux, can you hear me? Are you guys able to hear us? Are we still coming through? Let us know if you can still hear us and you can see us. Because it looks like we're having some connectivity issues. Can you guys hear us and see us? There's a little bit of a delay, so give us a yes or no if you can hear us and see us. Only me? Okay, Obama must be watching. Now tell me, did that freak y'all out? I think Dr. Malveaux will come back in a second, but tell me, did that remark not fuck you up? I mean, that no, I don't mean to cuss. I'm sorry, but that freaked me out. Like I was like, really, I did not know about this interview, and I think that that's interesting, right? It kind of shows what happens when you're trying to code switch and live on both sides of the fence, because Charles Ogletree, I know Ogletree as well, or I've worked with him. We both spoke at the National Black Law Student Association annual conference, and I met him there, and I've known him through the years. And so Obama learned from Ogletree. So it's like he's got these, tiny roots in the Black community, but he's also got these other connections elsewhere. And so, first of all, the idea that somebody had to convince him to talk to Julianne Malveaux is a problem right there. And that's what they tend to do. They tend to think that because I'm just, I'm this special Negro now, I don't have to respect the elders from the Black community, the ones who, who carry weight in the Black community. But also, I think that he was surprised that she was actually going to ask him about an issue that was specific to Black people. I think that there's kind of a code amongst a lot of the Black elite, the bougie Negroes, because they're so interested in getting a seat at the table, they don't actually use their opportunity at the table to get anything done. They're sitting there in awe of the fact that they're even there, that they don't actually ask those hard questions. So I don't know about you guys, but that story really resonated with me like that. Like I've heard other stories about Barack, but that's probably one of the most compelling examples of the problems of his presidency that I've seen. And if you notice, the reparations debate been going on, like it's been happening extensively in the Black community. And I want to ask you guys, yes or no, have you heard Michelle or Barack say one word publicly about reparations? Have you heard Michelle or Barack say one word about reparations? Give me a yes or no. If you've seen them tweet anything, if you've seen them mention anything on Facebook, mention anything on a newscast, if you've seen them, send down a smoke signal, say something on the radio, like what have you seen that Michelle or Barack has ever said about reparations? They have not said one word about it. And I personally think that, look, if you're going to profit from your relationship with the Black community, then great power comes with a responsibility. If you're going to profit from Black people, you must be giving something back. And I think the question becomes, what are they giving back? What are they adding? I'm not telling you to make what that decision should be. I think that's your choice, right? If you're happy with what they're giving you, then that's fine. But if you're not, I think you shouldn't be afraid to say something. I mean, I'd be very curious, because I see these movies they're making. They're not making anything that's, uniquely rooted in the Black experience. I'm not, I think they made a movie about some Ohio workers and a Chinese a factory being bought by a Chinese billionaire or something. Like, it's like all this other shit, and my thing is like his power was rooted in Black people. If Black people had never supported the Obamas never would have got to the White House. And so I think Dr. Malveau's back. You back, Dr.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
Okay, that's all right. We were sitting here just freaking out over what you just said, that story. Just so you know, you just broke our internet with that one, because I none of us had heard that one. So please continue. So what is your perspective on that incident? So you sat down with Barack and you had a great conversation and you brought up reparations, and suddenly that was the thing that immediately triggered him.
And he totally freaked out. But I think that that's a metaphor for his presidency. He was a decent Democratic centrist president. He was not.
Oh, it looks like the audio and the video went out. I'm gonna tell you, this makes you think COINTELPRO is real. We just got to the best part of the conversation, and the internet keeps going out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just link back up with Dr. Malveaux, and maybe we can get a stronger Wi-Fi for next time. And Dr. J, if you can hear me, I'm gonna call you, and we're gonna set this up again so we can finish this discussion. And I want you guys to feel free, please share this. Share this interview. We're not here to bash anybody, right? But you can't call people haters just because they're bringing out the truth, right? So ultimately, I think that that's quite fascinating. And I think the question that I would ask Michelle and Barack is straight up, point blank, period. what is your position on reparations, and don't give us any bullshit. Because here's the thing, the Black community is much smarter than we were even 10 years ago. And the things that we would have fallen for in 2008 are not things that people will fall for in 2019. That is what you call progress. That is what you call progress within a community. And I think that that's a beautiful thing, you know. So, you know, the other day I mentioned that in the debate between T.I. and Killer Mike and all those guys, you know, T.I. said that the Black community has progressed, you know, in this generation. And I was saying that I would beg to differ with him, because if you look at most measuring sticks of progress, we haven't, you know, made a lot of progress. But one area where progress is being made is in our political savvy, our political and economic intelligence. And that did not come from your oppressor. That did not come from the Democrats. That did not come from white folks. That did not come from public schools. That did not come from white universities. That did not come from the media. That came from right here. That came from spaces like this, where Black people are having authentic, intelligent conversations and figuring out the realities of the world on our own independently and having our own conversations. Can I get a witness? Can I get an amen on that? Give me an amen. So I know that we're at least on the same page on this. I believe that the importance of Black media is because we have spaces now where we can have honest conversations amongst ourselves and really and question everything. You must question everything you've been taught, at least in the last 50, 60 years, maybe even before then. Okay. So, you know, just basic things like, why is it that our children know more about George Washington than they know about Marcus Garvey? Who the fuck made that rule up? Who decided that Black children should know more about a slave master than they know about a liberator of slaves and a liberator of human beings, the great Marcus Garvey? How in the hell did your babies get through 8 to 12 years of school and 4 years of college, probably went to Yale or Brown, and know nothing about Marcus Garvey? That is sick. That is a reflection of our mental illness. I'm talking about me and you, Danny, Valerie, Adonis, Motown House, Kathy Fisher, everybody watching. Like, we need to check ourselves and really kind of just look back and say, wait a minute, this don't even make no damn sense. You know, and then when you figure that out, then you can start saying, okay, let's reconstruct a reality that makes sense based on what, you know, who we are, what we need to do, and where we want to go, right? So that's it. That's my point. I think I'm glad that story got out. I'm happy to have provided the platform to let Dr. Malveaux share that story. And in case you're wondering, I'm about, like my cousin say, I'm about finna go tell everybody. I'm finna go tell everybody. I don't even say finna that much, but right now I'm about finna go tell everybody about what Dr. Malveaux just said. Just watch me. Watch me work this out, because we're going to get this out there. So I'm about to go, guys. Thank you for hanging out. I'll get Dr. Malveaux back on soon. I'm going to text her right now, find out if we can get a better Wi-Fi for next time. Hit the thumbs up button, share, and subscribe. Make sure, definitely hit that thumbs up button if you're on the Black Financial channel, if you're on YouTube. Hit the notification bell also and subscribe button, because if you're subscribed to Dr. Boyce TV, that's different from the Black Financial channel. The Black Financial channel is purely financial. We get economic topics on this all day, every day. Stock market updates, what's going on with the economy, stuff like that, personal financial conversations. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com, theblackfinancialchannel.com. Also, don't forget, All Black National Convention happens in 10 days, Houston, Texas. We got a long roster of great people that are going to be there. Make sure you show up if you can. If you can't show up, that's okay too. But we'd love to have you there. And just to give you some names of some people that are going to be there, we're going to have Nicole Price, who's a leadership expert, Dr. George C. Frazier, Willie D from the Ghetto Boys. We've got, let's see here, Sharif Abdul Malik from We Buy Black, the founder of We Buy Black. D1, who's a hip hop artist, who's very, very good. Who actually, I think he signed a big contract with somebody. I don't know. He's doing some big things. Danielle Pierce, who's a real estate expert. The Royal Mix, which is the hottest female group in the country right now, as far as I'm concerned. Best group since TLC. Dr. LaTangela Watkins, my sister, but also Vicky Dillard from Fly Nubian Queen. We've got this brother here, Dr. Rick Wallace, Michael Imhotep from the African History Network. Julian Gordon, who's an entrepreneurship expert, Nomalanga Mushali Moses, and Dr. Ron Daniels, among others. So there's a whole lot of people that are going to be there. So if you want to learn more, go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. If you want to watch it on video, we're going to try to have a live stream, but if we can't, the recordings will be loaded immediately. Go sign up at allblackeducation.com. That's allblackeducation.com. That's our that's also called ABC Digital, but that's the place where you can go to watch recordings of every single convention we've had. They're all really good, excellent speakers, excellent discussions. We've also got films in there like Democracy, a Black American Horror Story, The Black Love Blueprint that you can watch for free. What is it? A really good film called The Melanin Code. The Melanin Code is right up there with Hidden Colors in terms of really great films made by Black filmmakers. So it's kind of like a Netflix for smart Black people, basically, except better than Netflix because it's education. So we have the event that I did with Louis Farrakhan, all 3 hours of that footage. You can watch that. We have the event I did with Dr. Cornel West. So there's just a ton of stuff in there, lectures and information that you can watch with your whole family. So feel free to go to allblackeducation.com, and the first month is totally free. So that's the best part too. First month is free, allblackeducation.com. And you can also, if you want to, talk to our experts at the Black Business School, who will be right there on the line, who can chat with you about your economic future, help you come up with your personal wealth plan and all that good stuff. So we got plenty of resources for you. Our goal is to build a nation, and we want to give you every tool that you want to build your family and to do what you want to do in-house without depending on external systems to get things done. So we're building systems. That's what we're doing. That's the master plan. That's the agenda, right? Everybody else got an agenda. We have an agenda too. We have a Black agenda, and we don't apologize for that. So take care, guys. Have a good day. Thanks for hanging out with me, and